Yesterday was my last time as Deputy Principal addressing my Year 9 cohort, and it was curious to ask them a couple of questions because my new role is going to be Director of Technology and Innovation, and I was looking at how many of these students are using AI. And I did a quick survey. Now there was about 200 students there, and I just said, put your hand up if you've ever used AI before. And it was curious because only about 50% raised their hands. Now let's assume that 10-15% of those who didn't raise their hands were too shy or too nervous. They didn't want to seem like they're using it so they don't get in trouble. So let's just assume that, the average is 40 to 45% of students have used AI in some context. And that was really fascinating for me to see this Year 9 cohort, because if you remember a few weeks back, I did the same thing with my Year 10 cohort, but just a very small sample size of 20 students, and every single one of them used AI at some level, and majority of them were using it daily. So it was very, very interesting to see that, and it was just timely. I started mentoring and coaching the head of science and her team in regards to AI and assessment and AI and assessment design, and ensuring that they have a consistent approach when it comes to communication with students on acceptable use, when to use it, what not to use, when they can go full tilt, when they are going to be assessed on their human capabilities. And it was a very interesting conversation, and I was just really sort of taken back by that idea that all students are using it, and all students are using it to the point where it's too far out of our control. We need to start policing this thing, but that's not the case. The more I look into it, the more understanding we have in regards to the ethical use and the actual use cases that students are using and teachers are using. There is quite a big disconnect between the assumptions that we might have and what is actually happening in reality. And it was highlighted as well because I was recently talking to a colleague and friend, and he's a university lecturer in Western Sydney, and he was discussing the use of AI in regards to assessments for university level. Now the thing is, he trains Masters of Teaching students. They're basically already got a degree, now they're doing master's degree in education so then they can become a teacher. And he was just trying to question his superiors, his leaders, to say, hey, look, what is our stance on this? What are we doing? How are we using? How are we implementing? How are we addressing malpractice concerns? All those kind of things. And it was just at a point where there wasn't much the supervisor could give him in regards to guidance. So he's taking a different approach. He's looking at how do we effectively use, but there is core skills that we need to learn when it comes to teaching and learning that is applicable, and it comes from effort. You need to put the effort in to actually get that result. And once you understand and you've got the expertise in that area by going through the process of doing it and repeating it and iterating on it, then start using AI to simplify and then use it as either a process-driven task or is it a product-driven task. Once we've got the expertise to try it, test it, and then iterate it, we can actually get a lot better outputs from it. But it's just interesting the difference between Year 9, Year 10, and now tertiary, and the use and the level of use is just wildly, it just stumps you, because you assume when you're looking at Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, all those, that everyone knows about AI, everyone knows about what's here and how to use and what not to do and what to do and all these kind of things. But the more you look at it, and this comes from the analogy of the high achiever and the spectrum that you have in motivation and learning, you always have your early adopters. They're usually your 1 to 5%. Then you'll have your people in the sort of the middle who will come once the early adopters show and pave the way. So we feel like we're currently still in the early adoption phase. There is a wave coming of mass adoption that'll come in education, but we're just not there yet. So it's still early. We're still got plenty of time. So if you're feeling lost, if you're feeling stuck, if you're feeling like, I'm so far behind, you're not. So if you want some help in that, awesome. There's a link in description. You can join our free community where I'm going to be releasing some masterclass trainings that I've just been leading over the last few weeks with my current school. So that'll give you, A to C of prompt engineering, assessment design, and bot creation. We're doing all those cool things. So you're not behind. We're still in the early adoption phase. The mass education market will catch up eventually, but who knows what that space will look like. But at the moment, you just got to be in the arena to play. And that's the aim of the game. It's not to assume that we, don't know it, or assume that we're going to get overwhelmed by it, but just have a go, have a crack, and see how it pans out. Because the message that I gave my Year 9 cohort yesterday when I addressed them as their deputy was, even if you have used AI, and that's fantastic, you are trying to develop your own skill set to be a better human. And that honestly is the first thing that comes first. And if you think about Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, he says that one of those is first things first. Put first things first. And being a human over using technology is obviously number one. And that's why we have our dispositions of learning. That's why we have things that are cognitive and social, emotional, and interpersonal. They are all interconnected. So it's quite a lot, but if you're feeling like you're behind, you're not. If you want some help, go into the description and join our community, and I will see you in the next one. Remember, effort equals results.